Okay, and I'm back. So, there's been a lot of news about the Man of Tomorrow lately. Superman specifically. For those of you who don't know, that's kind of his nickname. He's known as the Man of Tomorrow. And, well, let's just say he's come out of the closet, they changed his motto, and I thought it would be interesting topics to approach. So let's get into it. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Okay, so first off, I made a big mistake this morning. Apparently my classes are not an hour long, they're going to be 2 hours long. So yeah, I'm gonna have to switch up my schedule for Thursdays. I may just switch it over to noon. I thought it'd be free earlier, but I don't know. I guess I'll have to play it by ear, because it also took me a little bit of time to get things ready, and apparently my internet sucks at 11 a.m. So, I don't know. I'm still working on that, so Thursdays are still going to be pretty much up in the air. The rest of the week, the rest of the days, they should be fine. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me right at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch. Just join me on the stream, hop on the chat, you can just comment below or anything you want. It'll appear right here on the stream if you care to join. I think I can see it. I think it's big enough, so it should be fine. If not, I have like a little app thing right next to it. But let's get into the topic, because I think it's kind of an interesting one. So first off, the biggest thing here, I think, is that it's based off the headline. All right, so I read the article, and the article is called Up, Up, and Out of the Closet. And so, actually, I can give you the full title. I have the article right here. Let me see if I can just get it for you. Up, Up, and Out of the Closet. Superman comes out as bisexual in DC's latest comic, and it's not a gimmick. So, interesting stuff there. And just so that you know right off the bat, the title is kind of a bit of a misdirection, and it's not exactly correct. So, when I say Superman, most people tend to think Clark Kent, Kal-El. This is not who we will be talking about. We will be talking about his son, Jonathan Kent. And the storyline is called Son of Kal-El. So this is the new Superman, which is weird. I mean, I've never been a fan of anybody else taking over the mantle of a particular superhero, especially one that's like that iconic. I mean, I get it. I kind of understand it. But I don't like it. Like, for example, there's only one real Batman, and that's Bruce Wayne. So I don't care who anybody else takes the mantle. I don't like it. Just come up with your own thing. Here, at least, it's a different character. So, just again, to clarify, it is technically Superman, but it's the new Superman. It's not Clark Kent. It's his son, Jonathan Kent. So, and who goes by John, apparently. And so this is an interesting topic because well, it's first off, it's like highly controversial, and there people are celebrating and all that stuff. But to me, I think it leads to something even more interesting. First off, let's say, okay, it's funny because people are celebrating it and people are pissed, but they're pissed off for all the wrong reasons. And before I get into that, let me just see Danny's game clips. Are you doing a documentary with Sky? We're working on it. It's possible. We still have a bunch of stuff that we need to figure out. If we do it, I'll announce it here. But if not, so far right now, nothing is set in stone on that end. It's possible. I don't know how probable it is, but it's possible. It's one of the things that I'm working on right now. So, Superman being bisexual. Interesting. So, the comic, I've talked about how the comic book industry is not doing very well right now. And a few months ago, I talked about how the Demon Slayer manga outsold the entire comic book industry in the United States. Is this one of the reasons for it? Maybe. Could be a symptom. It could be the cause. Who knows? But there's definitely, when I read this article, in fact, you know what? I'll just read the article first, just so that you kind of understand what the hell is going on, because there's something definitely extremely terrible here. So, Up, Up, and Out of the Closet. The new Superman, Jonathan Kent, who is son of Clark Kent and Lois Lane, will soon begin a romantic relationship with a male friend, DC Comics announced on Monday. The same-sex relationship is just one of the many ways Jonathan Kent, who goes by John, is proving to be different Superman than his famous father. Since his new series, Superman, Son of Kal-El, began in July, John has combated wildfires caused by climate change thwarted a high school shooting and protested the deportation of refugees in Metropolis. I'm going to say that again. What Jonathan's adventures have been. He has combated wildfires caused by climate change, thwarted a high school shooting, and protested the deportation of refugees in Metropolis. So maybe that's the reason why comic book sales have not been doing great. Because your villains suck. All right? I don't want to see Superman just putting out a fire. All right? That's just stupid. Also, but climate change is not an actual entity that he can fight. Right? That doesn't make any sense. If Lex Luthor were starting wildfires, okay, maybe with a giant flamethrower, I'd get it. You know, that's a storyline. That's something that's worth reading. But it's just combating what? Nature? That's boring to read. That's not something that's interesting or sexy. Thwarting a school shooting, that could be fun, you know, like actual real life consequences, except no school shooter should be any competition for Superman. That's kind of like, again, low-hanging fruit. It's stupid. It should be that comic book should not be more than, I don't know, 2 pages long. It's stupid. That's why people don't like it, because your stories are dumb. And finally, protesting the deportation of refugees in Metropolis. Superman does not protest. Superman does not need to protest. Superman is powerful enough to impose whatever he wants. He doesn't do it, though. In fact, he tends to stay out of the way of things because he knows, like, the way that he carries. Now, of course, there's different iterations of Superman, and he kind of exerts his authority whenever he feels it's convenient. Depends on the Superman, but usually I don't remember seeing Superman be a part of a protest. I remember Clark Kent being a part of stuff, but Superman tends to not get involved in things. So, maybe the issue with the comic book industry is that, well, you know, there's a famous term on the internet, and it goes, go woke, go broke, right? Because if you go broke, because if you go woke, and you start doing woke material, like, I don't know, making Superman gay and fighting climate change and school shooters and protesting immigration, people don't like it and they stop buying your stuff. And here's the thing, you need to kind of know who your audience is. Your audience is a bunch of teenage boys. Those are the people who usually tend to buy comic books, at least the newer ones. I'm a 30-year-old man and I tend to buy the older comic books because those are the heroes that I know. I don't care anything at all about Superman B. I care about Superman A, the original Superman, the cool Superman, the one that I grew up with. Well, the one that I grew up with. I don't care about Superboy, because, by the way, Jonathan Kent used to be Superboy. Superboy is a B-level superhero. C, even, because most of you probably never heard of Superboy. So I care about the A superheroes. I don't care about the Bs. So it doesn't really matter. So you're looking for the new generations, and the new generations aren't buying this stuff. So, again, the term, and now you're losing the audience of the older generation, because, again, you're messing with their old heroes. So, the term is go woke, go broke, but I think there's something actually more interesting here. I think it's actually the reverse. They're going broke, and they went woke. So they were like, well, our product is not selling with the people it used to sell with, so maybe we should try to get a bigger audience. So we're going broke, so let's go woke and see if that works. It hasn't really worked either. So it's one of those things that's maybe you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't know. But to me, it all goes down to you've just stopped making a high quality product. You just don't understand who your audience is anymore. And you've hired terrible writers. It's all about the writers, really. Right? The writers suck. I had this guy, I don't know if I mentioned this on my podcast, but I was talking with my kid brother, and he loves talking about wrestling. Loves talking about wrestling. And to him, everything is wrestling. Everything is wrestling. That's his rule. And so he was saying that he was shocked because he saw an interview, because WWE fired a bunch of writers, right? And one of the writers that they fired, they were asking her about Bobby Lashley. She had no idea who Bobby Lashley was. And Bobby Lashley was, at that moment, the heavyweight champion of WWE, the World Heavyweight Champion. She did not know who he was. And she was a writer for WWE. So you're like, are you fucking... So you're basically just hiring people who are writers, but not people who are fans. And there's something very important about having a fan in there, because they understand... First off, they're your audience. You should always have somebody who's your audience, because guess what? They understand your audience. They understand what they're like. They actually actively talk to other people who are the audience, because people tend to have similar, if I like something, I'm going to surround myself with people who like the same thing. So if I like comic books, I'll tend to hang out with people who like comic books, and I'll get a feeling for how the audience feels, right? You don't just get somebody who was an SNL writer and be like, oh, well, I'm going to bring an SNL writer to do Superman, and it's going to work out. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's a good thing to bring in an outsider, but you have to keep somebody in there who knows what the fuck is going on, not only in the industry, but in the lore of your character, but everything. And I think that's where they've been fucking up a lot, massively. And that's why sales have been going down massively for the comic book industry. They went woke, they went broke, but they went woke because they were going broke because they were doing shitty content. And let me see, I got a bunch of messages here. I wonder what the Justice League would think. Lol. I mean, first off, I'm not even sure if the new Superman is a part of the Justice League. Like, I've followed Superboy nothing because I don't care. I'm not really interested. I think Johnny Superman should battle Dave Chappelle on Netflix. My money's on Chappelle, and haha, I get Superman beat. Listen, interesting. Johnny Superman battling Dave Chappelle on Netflix. If he follows the rules of Superman, Dave Chappelle should win. Like, definitely Dave Chappelle should win, because he's not breaking any laws, he's not committing any crimes, he's just telling jokes. So, I don't know if it's a fight, obviously Superman would win because he's super powerful, but he would also lose because he'd become, a criminal. And if it's a joke off, I'm pretty sure Dave Chappelle would destroy Superboy. So, there you go. Anyway, there's also something interesting, because this whole Superman coming out as bisexual sparked the memory in the back of my head, and I had to talk to a friend of mine about it, because he's part of the story. So, for those of you who don't, I talked about this on the radio show at the time, but for those of you who don't know, I had a friend of mine a few years back who came out to me as bi. One time we were out drinking, and he came out as bi, and at least that's his version of the story. I do not remember this conversation. I'm still not sure if he confused me with somebody else, but the point is, he says he came out to me as bi, and afterwards, a few years later, he told me, hey, dude, I really appreciated the time that I came out to you. Like, nothing in our relationship changed. Everything stayed the same. And that was really good at making me feel comfortable or whatnot. And to me, that was like, sure. Like, I just played it cool. I was like, all right, sure, yeah, anytime. You're still my friend. Nothing changed. And afterwards, a few years later, that led to another interesting conversation with him, because we don't like meet in person a lot, but we met up in person, and I asked him about, like, hey, so how's like the dating life going? And he told me, I kind of regret coming out of the closet. And I was like, this is interesting. I did not expect this. He was like, all right, last time we talked, you said you were a lot happier. So what happened? And he's like, yeah, well, at first, when I came out as bi, my thought was like, okay, I've just doubled my dating options for the world. So before it was like, okay, only women, but I came out as bi, so now I should have double the possibilities, right? Except I'm a Mexican in Mexico, and it turns out Mexican women, or women in general, I don't know, kind of not into the whole bi thing. They don't see you as a guy anymore. It doesn't matter that he acts completely straight. I think there's a term for it. I don't really know, but it doesn't matter that they don't know, but the moment that he lets them know, because he's open about it, they're like, I don't kind of like you anymore. So he's like, if I would have known that doing this only limited my options to guys, I never would have done it. I still would have kept doing it in secret, because you could easily do it in secret, and there's a bunch of, like, I mean, I knew him for years. I had no idea. And apparently there's a bunch of, like, just people who you think are straight, but they sleep with other people and they don't hurt anybody, so it really doesn't matter. And so I was like, this is fascinating. I never would have thought that. It's one of those things that you're like, whoa, it never crossed my mind before, so I never really cared. It's one of those things that I don't really worry about. It's like, all right, as long as you're not hurting me or not breaking the law, do whatever you want. But it was like, interesting. So it could be interesting if they tried to add that particular aspect of like the bi person who kind of regrets it a little bit because they kind of screw themselves over with women. There's also, I don't know, there's something there to be said about the prejudice of women, which is interesting because I have a lot of bisexual friends. 90% of them are women. Doesn't affect me at all. In fact, I think it's kind of cool. But most the reverse is not as normal. And I asked specifically a few of those friends, like, hey, what do you think about this? All right, what do you think of a guy who hooks up with a guy? And she's like, I kind of see him as less as a man. And it's funny. It's so so having, I don't know, I'm still not completely sure where my idea is going, but having Superman come out of the closet as bi, does that mean that in the audience's side makes him less of a man? I don't know. It's interesting. Like, if you ask that world's equivalent of Wonder Woman, would you be like, hey, would you still hook up with Superman now? And what would her answer be? It would be interesting if she actually, you know, did the human reaction being like, I don't know, I'm not touching that. And so that'd be interesting. I think there was a, damn it, there's a Seinfeld episode about that. Now that I think about it, it's like Elaine is trying to convert a gay guy and she can't do it. And she's like, oh well, I mean, since I'm not a member of the team, I don't have as much access to the equipment, so I'm not as good at it with it. And Jerry's like, yeah, that's why their team loses so few players. So something along the lines of that. So that could be interesting. They could make it interesting. The problem is that who's going to be the villain, right? If the villain is still going to be climate change, doesn't matter. So the interpersonal relationships for a superhero are not what we're there for. We're there for the villain. In fact, I just talked about this when I saw the trailer for the new the Green Arrow show, and it's not Green Arrow, it's the actor Stephen Amell show, Heels. It's a wrestling show, and he's like, a hero can only rise as high as his villain. So it doesn't really matter what you. I mean, there's the Midnighter and Apollo are gay. Nobody really cares. It cares who they're fighting. And you know, Midnighter's definitely a psychopath. So there's even like a famous rape scene with like a drill. It's really disturbing. Anyway, so it all, they're not getting what the important part here is. And also, again, I converse with a lot of people. The thing that upsets people is that the love interest is kind of ugly. So let me just show you a quick image here of the love interest. It's that guy. Well, let me see, that guy. So a lot of people are like, man, I hate how that guy looks. He just looks like a little. There's a term. Twink. Okay, I think it's Twink. So he just looks like a little weird twink dude with pink hair. I hate it. Why can't it just be a man? Yeah, there's a difference between being gay and not being a man, and it's something that's kind of annoying to them, because like, why can't it be like a big dude with a beard? Like, why can't it be like a masculine dude? It's annoying. Like, immediately the moment that was another thing that I discussed with my friends. Like, immediately, like the moment that I came out of the closet, they're like, all right, well, he's clearly like a butterfly. He's sensitive. Like, no, I'm still a man. I still like have my beard. I just, you know, I just like other dudes a little bit. So it's funny. It's interesting, and I think they were messing up a lot. Now, let's go into something else different that they did with Superman. So with Superman, they decided for the latest DC, what's it called? I just covered it, the fandom. So they decided we're going to change the motto of Superman from Superman's motto. It's been used since the 1940s. Since you know, they started doing like Superman on the radio. It was truth, justice, and the American way. So they decided, you know what, we're gonna update Superman's motto, right? And it, you know, I get updating a motto a little bit. I mean, this one's been around for 80 years or so. But in terms of marketing, I understand it. It's a good idea all around the world except for America. Because in America, it's kind of like, you're kind of sending an odd message here. So is the American way not a better tomorrow? What are you trying to say? So even if it's a better motto, it's going to be controversial one way or not. Maybe that's what they're going for. Who knows? But it's going to piss a lot of people off. And so truth, justice, and the American way is being replaced by truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Again, in Mexico, I understand that. In China, I understand it. In Japan, I understand it. In Germany, I understand it. In America, bad idea. And also led me to think, is there something wrong with the American way? Like, and will the American way lead to a better tomorrow? Got me thinking. one of those deep philosophical questions that you got to ask yourself every once in a while. And I was like, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with the American way, but I do think that Americans have lost their way. And I don't. And here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about America. You're very America-centric. You don't really see around the world. And I don't think it's an issue just in America. I think it's an issue all around. People are kind of going a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I don't really understand why, but sure, let's focus strictly about America. What's going on? Is there anything wrong with the founding principles of America? Meritocracy, I feel it's a good thing. Individual rights, individual responsibilities, it's a good thing. All men are created equal under God. I feel it's a good thing. So there's not really anything wrong with the American way. I think people just became extremely intolerant. Extremely. They no longer tolerate differences of ideas. And I've been thinking about this. Like, why do you refuse a new idea? Why do you reject this? What's the problem? What's this hate towards new ideas or different ideas that you don't agree with? To me, I can contemplate anything. That's why I feel I can have conversations with anybody. It's like, okay, I'll listen to you. I'll hear your idea. I'll process it, and I'll at the end of the day, I'll decide if it's good or not. Just hearing something is not going to influence me. So why is there a bunch of people trying to censor people? Like, no, you can't. You're not allowed to speak, not even a little bit. Like, are you that weak-minded that hearing something new will convince you? And then I started thinking, it's a cult. You know, it's definitely a cult, because cults do not tolerate dissent. They don't tolerate new ideas. It's like it's the leader's way or the highway. Yeah, that's it. There's nothing else. There's no other options. Science, I've always said, this is my argument, science invites questioning. It invites debate. It invites you trying to, disprove it, because if you can find a way to disprove it, that means that they were doing something wrong. And if they're doing something wrong, they'll try to do something right. But they keep trying to be like, no, shut up, just follow it. It's like, well, why can't I ask questions? Why can't I do research? Why can't I look up other stuff? Why won't you accept another? Because science evolves, ideas evolves, things change. And so why are people becoming so intolerant? And to me, it's kind of like a cult. It's cult-like behavior. They're like, my way or the highway. Again, think about it. Think about cult mentality. They just, you question the leader, you question the teachings, you question something, they immediately get violent. And it's really weird. So, again, I think it's more that Americans have lost their way than America has lost its way. And not all Americans, obviously, but a lot. And it's happening everywhere. And it's interesting because the American way is kind of a symbol around the world. Like, I've been around the world, and America stands for something pretty good. I was in the middle of a protest in South Korea, and the people who had American flags, they were protesting, for freedom, for fair elections, against the, let's say they had an issue with North Korea that was going on at the time. They're protesting against it. They were protesting against the authoritarianism, and to me, all those seem like good things, So and whenever anybody's protesting for something, usually they like Hong Kong. The Hong Kong protests against China. They fly American flags. The protests against the extreme lockdowns in Australia, they use American flags. So it's a symbol for something. And Superman stands for that thing. I remember, what is it, the Man of Steel movie where Superman is like, dude, I'm from Kansas. I'm as American as it gets. So I don't get it. And let me see, Johnny Superboy's new arch nemesis will be silence, since according to these new writers, silence equals violence. Oh, please. Gus, I don't know if you're making that up or if they actually thought about it, but that's fucking hysterical. So, yeah. I am not part of the silence equals violence group, because also they say that words are violence. So if you talk, it's violence. If you shut up, is violence. So basically, the only thing that they will accept is you agreeing with them. They don't want you to talk to disagree. They want you to talk to agree. Which is, again, what a cult does. They're an intolerant group of people who are trying to say, we're the most tolerant and inclusive of all, except fuck you, we're going to destroy you and everything you stand for. It's like, what? Okay, well, I mean, I'm standing here saying let live and let live. Like, you do whatever you want as long as you don't break the law or, mess with me in any way. And they're like, no, fuck you, you have to submit to the cult, submit to the leader. and you're like, well, maybe you kind of got a little crazy, a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing. I think it's bad for DC Comics in general. I don't see myself buying any comic from these. Well, actually, you know what? I wasn't even gonna buy him ever because I've never heard anything interesting about Superboy or his storylines being like cool or whatever. And again, that's Superman B. Who cares? Who cares? I'll stick to the stuff that I already got. That's already good. That's already fun. So whatever. That's it. That's a good place to stop. And I gotta do something here. I gotta take these off as soon as I start this because yesterday it blew my ears out. So that's a good place to stop. I don't even know if I actually accomplished anything with this. I wanted to share a little bit of a story. That's it. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Super Dario World and at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch. This thing really throws me off. I don't know why. It really throws me off. Also, if you want to send me like a message privately or whatever, you can do it on Instagram at DarioSDW and at Super Dario World. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.